you can try 1,000 different things and you might fail 50% of the times. You still made 500 things happen.
All right, I think we can get started. Yali, Saar, it is a pleasure to have you on 20 Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
We both have our coffee and tea, and we had a fascinating 2-hour walk-in conversation here in Tel Aviv just the other day, and I can't even try to replicate some of the amazing things that we brought up, and I learned so much, and I can't wait to learn so much more from this conversation. But I'd love to focus these 20 minutes on you and who you are and your journey, focusing specifically on two incredible initiatives, Raising the Bar and Tailor Brands. But before we get to those, Yali, take me back in time a little bit. Who is Yali Saar, and how do you end up running a multi-million-dollar startup in Tel Aviv?
Okay, so I'll take you back to the start. I started from a little bit of a different background. I was an actor here in Tel Aviv. I did television. I did theater. I did a lot of children TV, and then I kind of found my way into journalism, spent some time as a political spokesperson, which wound me up actually in marketing. I moved to the States, I studied in the States, and then I opened up a nonprofit there. So I was studying in Colombia, Morningside Heights, and I wanted to see how we can
Yali,
get.
slicha, 1 second. You jumped way too fast. How do you go from being a child TV star to being a journalist and going into politics to going to study in New York and then creating a nonprofit for education? Like I need the thinking process.
So I think a lot of the things that happened to me throughout the years kind of just happened. I strolled into them. So I think that initially, like acting was never a thing to me. And then one day I was walking up the street, and someone walked up to me and said, "Do you want to come to an audition?" And obviously, I didn't think I might wound up at a basement somewhere. So I said, "Sure, why not?" And I went to this audition, which eventually was an audition to a theater show in one of the national theaters here in Israel. So I started doing that. I was 13 or 14 back then. And that just, kind of paved my way there. And from there, I went into children TV. And I did a couple of shows. The last one we shot over like 120 episodes. There were like,
Wait, what?
yeah, everything you can imagine, like calendars with your pictures on them and all of that shit. Not sure if
Wait, I
if I
just
can
need the
say
quick
that.
names. What is the name of that TV show?
So the last TV show I did before I completely stopped was called Alifim. And it's still running today thanks to VOD. And and then I found myself at this point in time when I was acting for quite a long time, and I realized, I don't know if this is what I want to do in life. And back then I was going, everyone in Israel have to go to the army.
Right.
And they had this program for military journalists. So I applied for that. And back at the time, I wanted to start writing. And there's a magazine, it's a worldwide magazine, but also in Tel Aviv, called Time Out. So I started writing there just before the army service. And I
My
was
sister
actually,
was actually the editor in chief of Time Out Israel.
really?
Yeah,
When?
Lian Matias, many years
Ah,
ago.
wow. Okay. So probably I was there like 14 years ago. I was the youngest writer there back at the time. So young, by the way, that they made me use a fictional name. So
Wow, that's
yeah,
so cool.
I did that. I went into the army and I started doing correspondence in just kind of conflict situations. So Judah and Samaria and all around the
Easy
area.
stuff. The
Easy
simple
stuff,
stuff.
nice stuff. No, really, really complicated stuff, but things that really get
Yeah.
you thinking and get you to understand kind of the reality that you're living in. And from that understanding, the minute I kind of finished with my service, I got an offer to join a political campaign as a spokesperson,
Wow.
which I did. I joined the spokespersoning team, and I did that for it was primaries. We lost, and and then I knew that I wanted to go to school in the States. It was, by the way, back then we were also kind of shooting music videos for bands here in Israel. So I said, I'm going to study things that are in that field, like art management. I initially went to Parsons. I did one semester at Parsons. Then I realized that I wanted to try something that was more challenging for me, for the place that I was in back at the time. I managed to get a scholarship and transfer to Colombia.
Easy.
And easy peasy,
Casual.
casual. And I did that. And I don't know if you probably did you ever have the chance to go into the campus there?
It's beautiful. It's a city.
It's a
It's
city
beautiful.
within a city. It's in and it's located in Morningside Heights, which is basically Harlem. And what I
Yes.
realized is that you have this beautiful city within a city, and people can actually walk into a lot of the classes for free, but none of the people in the neighborhood do. So I started this thing called Raising the Bar, and the idea was getting top tier professors. Anyone from like Joseph Stiglitz was one of the professors that was there, and we had a bunch. We had like over 100, and we did everything from like huge events of 100 people. Oh, sorry, of like 10,000 people at a night. Um, to like 100 bars throughout the city, people are speaking, to just like one-on-ones with people, basically getting people excited about education and coming to school, because a lot of the advanced degrees in the States you can actually get a scholarship for, but if you don't come from the right background, you actually don't think that you have a chance to do it. So this is exactly what we wanted people to understand. So we did that
Yali,
in New
wait, before
York.
you
Yeah.
continue, I have to go back to the junction where excuse me, but the most important part for me through this show is to understand what drives people to do what they do. And I'm trying to understand, how does a childhood actor who goes into journalism, politics, then moves to the US, then goes to the army, moves to the US for college, why does he start a nonprofit for education? You're not American, right? You don't have emotional connection to Harlem. We have enough problems, of our own that we witness as we go up. Yet you're coming to a new location, and no matter the location you're at, you decide that you have to do something to help those around you. Why? Because there's thousands of other students that don't have that thinking process, and they're coming from there.
So I'll give you the short reason and the long reason. And it's the same reason, by the way, that a few years later we started Tailor Brands, and we got to where we are today. The short reason is, I'm hyperactive. I'm hyperactive, and I always need to do stuff. The longer and more appropriate answer is, I remember I went to a meeting with a career consultant. Right, you have in every college you have career consultants, and you go there. And I was actually going to understand what I should major in. And she asked me, okay, what do you want to do? And I looked at her and I was like, it has nothing to do with what I want to study. I want to study because I want to get, education. I want to get knowledge. If I want to do stuff, and then it kind of hit me, I can do the stuff that I want right away. And then I started, I got this notion that there's no reason to wait for anything. You can always do the things that you want to do. So, I found myself trying to figure out what I want to do in the weekends. I didn't want to go out party. I think that when we discussed, by the way, about your amazing life, um, you also, kind of communicated this urge that, you can go to the parties, you can go and just hang out with people, which is great sometimes. But I always have this urge to do more things, to try and figure out, what I can do that would actually be meaningful with my time. And I just saw this amazing opportunity. And I said to myself, wait, I can make this happen. There's no reason that this hasn't happened yet. And this is how we opened up Raising the Bar. And luckily for us, it went really well. And I think that after a year, we started opening up more branches. So right now it has branches in New York, San Francisco, Hong Kong,
Still running.
Australia, yeah, New Zealand. They just opened up two branches there because it's COVID free. But it's having this urge to just we have this amazing tool set, right? This tool set is us. And this is, by the way, something that you learn as an actor. As an actor, all you do is trying to figure out how you can, get more out of this tool that you've been given. And as an actor, you practice mimics, you practice your body language and so forth. But you also have this amazing brain, right? And we all have amazing brains, and we can conjure the most brilliant ideas, all of us. And usually they just die out on a paper somewhere, or at the back of our heads. But I realized that a lot of the times the only difference between having that idea die on the paper or actually doing something with it is not being afraid to fail. And I think that's the main thing that kind of pushes me always. It's the idea that you can always try, fail, repeat. And there's a sentence that my dad used to tell me, and he said, you can try and you can try 1,000 different things and you might fail 50% of the times. You still made 500 things happen. Or you can debate yourself for years whether to do this or that, which one of the ideas that you should actually go for. And you end up, shooting out two ideas. And you might actually, have better chances of succeeding 100%, but still you only got two things up and running. So that's what keeps me going. It's just like, let's do more. And the worst thing that can happen is you're going to fail, you're going to get up again, and you're going to try again.
That's exactly why I'm so inspired by this show. Because when I ask you why you're the one who did this and why it was successful, the answer wasn't because I had the most insight, or I was the smartest, or I was the best looking in the room and everybody wanted to follow me. That wasn't it. Your answer was, I'm hyperactive and I need to do stuff. And I know I'm very privileged to come from a community that supports failure, encourages failure as a stepping stone for success. And we all grow up with those quotes like Michael Jordan, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, or Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he got that working light bulb. But at the end of the day, most people still don't try. And I think it's a lot because of the community that we surround ourselves in. And if your community doesn't support failure and doesn't encourage you to try and learn from these failures as a stepping stone, then it's very difficult. And I'm completely inspired by what you were just saying. So thank you for sharing that. And I have to talk about Tailor Brands, because what you're doing now is unbelievable. I visited the offices a few months ago when you were showing me a little bit about what you were doing. And one of the first things that you did that completely amazed me was we just got to know each other, and you took me to the whiteboard. And you started, I don't know if you remember this even, you started scribbling, the business plan and some thinking process about the next reality of how algorithms are going to help us do branding. And I thought to myself, like, wow, like here is this guy, the CEO of a company that you have over 100 employees, you said, right, of Tailor Brands? And you're taking time out of your day to talk with me and feeding off of my reactions and sharing with me. So talk to me a little bit about Tailor Brands and some of your thought process as the leader of that amazing group.
So we have a lot of privilege working at Tailor Brands, and I think that the main privilege is that I talked about my own urge to do stuff, and at Tailor Brands we have the privilege of helping other people do stuff. So today Tailor
More than 20 million.
supports over 20 million businesses worldwide, and we help them.
Wow, 20 million
We help them.
businesses. No, not just people. 20 million businesses. This is insane. Yali, this is crazy.
We help them set up. They come to us with an idea, and initially Tailor was just a way to help them create a logo. So the idea was really, I have two amazing co-founders, Nadav and Tom, and initially we thought about this idea of creating an algorithm that could mimic creative tasks. I was coming from world of copywriting. Tom, my other co-founder, comes from a world of design. And Nadav comes from a technical background. The idea was, can we try and figure out how an algorithm could mimic the same thinking process that goes in Tom's head, the same decision tree that goes into Tom's head when he's designing, a great logo. So we initially did that, and we worked with businesses to create logos for them automatically. But what we realized was, after they create those logos, the business is still not up and running. And we started thinking, okay, how can we create this platform that is truly kind of like a one-stop SMB shop? How can we take them by the hand and help them make sure that the idea doesn't stay on paper? It actually, shoots out to the world, and maybe it fails, maybe it doesn't fail. Statistically, the majority of SMBs, will fail. But it keeps us up and going each and every day, and it's amazing.
And obviously, I have to make a parallel to raising the bar. In one hand, you're giving opportunities for education and for growth. You're breaking down that wall where you think that you can't even make it because you don't have the skills, you don't have the ability to go there. And with Tailor Brands, you're helping people get their business off the ground and make those crucial first steps to even have that ability to make that jump forward, that leap, and to actually work forward towards that. So what I always love to hear from leaders and entrepreneurs and CEOs is, what are some of the most either exciting times in the whole journey that I can look forward to as I start my own startup pretty soon? And also, what are some of the most difficult challenges? A lot of people say that it's lonely, that sort of stuff. And it's always really interesting for me and my friends to hear from somebody who is, a few years ahead of us in the journey.
So, I can only offer insights on my own journey. And one of the things that we love A/B testing at Tailor. It's something that we do. We probably have like hundreds of A/B tests up and running at every single moment. And one of the things that you realize when you A/B test is that some of the insights that you already have from your prior experience, they don't mean anything when you're trying something new. So, the things that worked for us, and in our walk, we talked a lot about having intention, right? When you're starting anything, you want to have intention, and you want to be able to do something that really excites you, that is bringing something to the world. Tailor, because when we started Tailor, we were 24, I think 25 at the time. We really had no experience in the tech world, so our mentality was really about try, fail, repeat, until you manage to get some sort of success. I think that a few things that I learned along the way is, bringing experience to your team is often the best way to avoid all of these failures along the way. So you might be super smart, you might know the thing that you're doing the best, but it shouldn't stop you, and don't let it stop you, right, from bringing people with experience that can help you kind of avoid future mistakes. At the same time, you need to give everyone on the team, regardless of the experience, an equal voice. And this is often the best way to kind of innovate and find success. One of the things that we have at Tailor is I know that whenever we have kind of a feature or anything else that we're debating what to do, my voice counts as much as anyone else on the team. As long, as the data of someone else is actually, more based than the data that I bring to the table, then their idea is actually going to win. Because title and experience, they don't really increase the chances of you being right. They're, the data should actually do that thing for you.
Right.
And,
I think it's in that.
yeah.
That's amazing.
No, and I think that you can start everything you do with intention and do something that you feel is meaningful, as because it will make you run longer for it. But you need to do whatever works best for you. If you have that amazing intention up front, that's amazing. If you don't, and you want to start running, and you're going to learn a lot of lessons along the way. Last but not least,
before you continue, I have to say that I loved your comment about the data and being intentional, because that mindset of, this is what I'm bringing to the table, my experience and my data. If you're on my team, no matter what your title or experience is, if you can show me different data that supports your idea, then you're just as credible as I am. Because I think that a lot of times people use visionary as an excuse for just going headstrong into something that has no sensibility. Now, obviously, we have examples of people that went against data and they were very successful, and they were, but most of the time, it's the data.
I think what you're saying is absolutely true. I think that one of the things that astonishes me is how many biographies do you know of success, right? We have thousands of those, probably like tens of thousands of those. How many biographies do you know of failure? Not a lot, right? So what we do a lot of the times is we project. We say, okay, Steve Jobs started something out of a garage, so I'll start, exactly, right?
But I think Tailor Brands started from something of similar nature, but that's for another story. But Yali, I'm sorry to cut you off, because I promise it's a 20-minute show. I wish I called it 30-minute leaders, but we have to end, and I have to ask you my favorite question, which is 3 words that you would use to describe yourself.
Realistically, intolerably optimistic.
Oh, you CEOs, you always have to make it into a really nice phrase. But can you repeat that one more time for me?
Realistically, intolerably optimistic.
I might try and adopt that. Yali, toda rabba. This was wonderful. I can't wait for our next walk. I'm learning so much from every interaction that we have. So thank you for the inspiration and for honestly making the world a better place. That's a living example of that. So thank you.
Thank you.